Hey guys, Dusty over here at High Tech. I just want to show you, this is our little bench setup here. We specifically set this up for the Sprinters 907 chassis. We've been seeing quite a bit of failures with the shifter module, the DSM module that's in there, the direct select. So just kind of want to go over what has been going on and what's been causing this and what to kind of look out for. Mainly the thing that causes the failure is low battery voltage. So once the battery voltage goes low and drops below a certain point, when the vehicle is started or attempted to start, it can cause damage to the actual DSM module. Whether that's physical hardware damage or data within the module itself, if that's corrupted or manipulated in any way, it can cause a symptom where this thing will no longer let the vehicle start and or remove itself from the park position. So we have a full bench test set up here, basically so that when you send in your parts, we can do the repair and then also do a physical test to make sure that mechanically this thing is functioning and communicating with the immobilizer system for it to be able to do its functions and features. So for that to happen, we would need your DSM module as well as your ignition switch and at least one working key for the car. If in the event that, say, this is no longer feasible to get your original unit working, we can either do a cloning process or we can order you a brand new one from the dealer and then program it on bench using our factory Zentree. We have an online connection to Mercedes-Benz, so we can do all of the programming for the firmware as well as the immobilizer data. But we'll get a little closer shot and show you just some of the follow-up tests we do once everything's done, and then the parts you're going to need to send us a little bit more detail. Okay, so this is on bench. This is after the fact of doing a repair. Most of the repairs we do have to open them up and then reseal them like with the factory sealant. And then we always do a bench test to verify it. We're not going to fly by the seat of our pants and just say call it good and ship it out. We actually want to do a bench test to make sure that it will calibrate for us. If it does for us, then it will for you. So we'll go through that. We have our factory tool over here. You notice that we have a bench power supply as well as a battery on bench to help stabilize it, because this does draw quite a bit of current. And most power supplies will not be able to keep up with the demand. And we want to make sure that we don't damage the unit and to be able to get an accurate adjustment, because it's actually, when it's doing the calibration, it's taking into consideration the amount of current or amperage needed during the process to tell if it's working correctly or not. So let's go through that. We'll do a calibration. These setups, basically once the immobilizer data is locked, you cannot do the calibration unless it has successful authentication with the immobilizer system first, which is the ignition switch module and the key. That's why we actually have to have those on bench. So basically you could see it run through it, and it'll go through each step incrementally, and then from all the way to park, all the way to drive, and then back. So we always recommend to do that on the vehicle, because our bench setup may not be exactly the way it is on the van itself or the vehicle itself. So we always recommend to do it once it's installed. It's asking us to cycle the ignition. To complete the process. So, and we usually will send you guys a video showing, everything working on bench, so that you know that you can have peace of mind that this is taken care of. The only caveat is when you install it, to make sure that your battery issues are resolved, so that you don't damage the newly repaired DSM module. So if your battery's weak or low, or you have, some kind of current draw that's killing the battery overnight, that needs to be resolved, because we don't want this potential issue to happen again. So just verify that before installation, and then likewise you're going to need to clear fault codes once everything's reinstalled. But we'll go through some of the fault codes that are inherent to this problem and what to look out for. Okay guys, so when you're trying to troubleshoot if this is the issue or not, this is typically, I don't have any fault codes on this one, but I will show you the fault codes that are pretty common to that. If you look right here, this P179A09, so these 5 fault codes right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, basically anything with the direct select system, but these 5 are the most common that we see. Basically, the direct select, which is DSM, right? Direct select module. If there's any kind of internal value or fault, or it's trying to say put the car in park or anything like that, and it's not lining up requests to actually what it's seeing, it will set a malfunction fault like this. So in the event that you have that problem, it's more than likely there's an issue with the direct select module. Some of the ways you can test it is there is five pins, right? You have your ground, your power, your ground, and then your CAN communication wires, and there's a wire right in the middle, and this is basically these cars will have a backup auxiliary battery. In the event of an emergency, you lose power, it will power this line up and then throw the car in park. If there's an internal issue, typically what will happen is if you just remove the power from one wire right here and just apply power on this wire, so you have ground and power, it will basically activate that little emergency motor, releasing the rod and throwing it into park. In the event that you power that wire up and you have no actuation, no noise, typically that means that there's an internal failure, and that would have to be repaired. So we do that. That's part of the repair process. It varies depending on the symptom that we have, on the repair that needs to be done. Like we had mentioned before, sometimes it's information, the data that gets scrambled, and sometimes it's a failure of the components in the inside. So, but we try to be very thorough in what we do. So just gives you a little bit of a rundown on what to expect when you're troubleshooting this problem. And if you guys have any questions, please let us know. Thanks guys, take care.